Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. Grab your favorite brew, whether that be alcoholic or non-alcoholic, or caffeinated or non-caffeinated. Sit down because we have got a lot of news and stories for you on this episode of Geek Tavern Radio.
Goodness. I'm so excited.
So excited.
This is Dax, and the two who are trying out for the new American Idol are...
I am Shill. I didn't sing.
I definitely sang, and I am the Mike Bundy.
Oh, but we are not alone, friends. We are joined with...
Age.
You guys remember Adriana? She joined us for an Animal Crossing episode a while back. She's here to talk to us with her opinions of the Nintendo Direct. We have some great news. Let's just dive into the Nintendo 3DS titles. Let's talk about those. There aren't a lot, so we can just power through these titles and give our opinion on everything that's here. They started out the Direct a little weaker with the upcoming 3DS stuff, which is cool to see that they're supporting the title, the console, all the way through the year. But they announced WarioWare Gold. It's a big collection of all of the WarioWare games, which are immensely popular, coming to 3DS. A lot of folks are excited for that. They announced Dylan's Dead Heat Breakers. I have no idea what that game is.
No idea.
Nope.
They announced Mario and Luigi's. It's the turn-based RPG that they have for Mario and Luigi, Bowser's Inside Story. Is getting remade on the 3DS. It was originally a DS port, but this port has additional content with Bowser Jr. They gave a release day for Detective Pikachu and a Detective Pikachu amiibo. And the big announcement is that they're going to remake Luigi's Mansion, the original from the GameCube, for the 3DS.
Yeah, that's a very interesting choice, because that would have sold like freaking hotcakes for the Switch. It could have moved systems just as good, if not better, than some games that they have coming out. So, yeah.
You know, I think part of it is probably because they already had all the assets from Dark Moon. I don't know if it's an exact engine-to-engine remake of the original or not.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they're redoing the engine and building it from the ground up, or building it off Dark Moon's engine. I couldn't really tell based on the trailer. But if it's built on Dark Moon's engine, then that makes sense. You know, they didn't have to put as much work into it to remake it on the 3DS. Probably not as much as they would have had to put into a full Nintendo Switch remake. But if it's just a port, then they could have ported it to the Switch rather easily, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think it is. It says on Nintendo's website that it's a 3DS remake. So it looks like it's going to be probably built on Dark Moon's engine, just to make a couple extra bucks and get some more sales.
Yeah, I wasn't even aware that Dark Moon was its own thing, really.
Oh yeah, Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon?
Yeah, I thought it was like a port or something.
Well, if I may speak, I mean, at first I was kind of irritated. I had spoke to Shill, what was it, later, like the day after this Nintendo Direct went up, and I thought that they were just porting Dark Moon again onto the 3DS. And I was like, what sense does this make? Shill, of course, corrected me and said, no, this is the original, which, you know what, Bundy, you're not the only one, man, because I just wonder why they just didn't take this game and put it right to the Nintendo Switch if you're going to make an updated version and everything. I mean, again, it's portable just like the 3DS, and I really think they could have done something a little quirky, a little unique with the Joy-Cons. You know, I can imagine maybe they would put in the element of the flashlight running out of battery, so maybe you got to shake the right Joy-Con, you know, to charge the battery back up, or to get it working. You know, there's some things that they could have implemented there. I think one of the most unique things when it comes to the Joy, and I don't want to go too off topic, but one of the most unique things I think I've seen, and I don't own this game yet, but one of the most unique things is with these Joy-Cons and its HD rumble, was the ported game Resident Evil Revelations 1 and 2, where if you're playing with the Joy-Cons in each hand, to actually reload your clip in any of your guns, you actually have to take your right Joy-Con and slap it against your left palm, like as if you were putting a clip up into back into a gun to reload.
That's unique.
Yeah, it is.
It's not optional.
No, it is optional. It is optional because, of course, you can just play your normal default controller. But when you're, of course, deciding to try out the HD Rumble Joy-Con separately, which I still have to try with Skyrim, yeah.
Okay, cool. So yeah, those are the 3DS titles that are coming out. The lesser titles that are not quite as anticipated as some of the stuff that's coming for the Nintendo Switch, but there are a few things on the Switch that some of the lesser known stuff that I want to tackle first.
Yeah, go ahead.
Some of the games that were announced, Okami is returning with an HD port to the Nintendo Switch. There are motion controls for artistic moves that you can draw on the screen with either your finger, or you can use the Joy-Con to do the super moves where you paint the screen. Sushi Striker, a game that was previously announced for the 3DS, is also coming to the Nintendo Switch. It's going to release on both consoles simultaneously. Travis Strikes Again. No More Heroes is a new follow-up to...
No More Heroes.
Yeah, No More Heroes. I've never played No More Heroes.
Neither did I, but I heard it was a really good game. I'm not necessarily sure if they made a second one. I have a feeling they actually did make a No More Heroes 2. I might be wrong on that, but the first one... I think
this is it. I think
this is the second one.
Oh, this is the second one. Because the first one originated on the Wii, I remember. And it had a pseudo open world with a heavy cel-shaded art display. But I always heard really, really good things about that game, and it was one of the few mature games, added to the Wii library. But it's really beloved by fans. It's one of those games that you really don't hear too much about. I don't necessarily know how I feel about Travis Strikes Again. From what I understand, I don't want to call it a WarioWare type of game, but I guess there's 7 different games implemented into this.
Okay.
Yeah, there's different ways to play or whatever.
Yeah, one of the 7 games that's in it. I'm playing Travis, of course, but I hear it's multiplayer, but one's a racing game. They basically touch different genres of games while playing this. So
cool. So I just mentioned the title that I'm most excited for out of the Direct is the Sushi Strikers.
Funny story.
I don't understand. Go ahead.
Funny story.
You like sushi?
Yeah.
So
love me some sushi. Bundy, we're not letting you tell the story.
I know. So Tiff and I were watching the Direct live, and this game came up, and you're gonna match up the sushi or whatever, and we're like, oh my god, Shill is gonna die over this game because he likes sushi, and then they said the whole title, which I can't remember because I don't have
Sushi Strikers: The Way of Sushito.
Yeah.
It's got a hilarious name. I mean, if it was something else, if it was some kind of action game where you were in a world and you were doing crazy puzzles or crazy sandbox mechanics where you're doing dumb moves with sushi, I mean, I think I'd be more excited. This just looks like one of those man, what was that game called with the kitchen? Little Mama's Cooking or Little Mama's Kitchen or something. Yeah. All right, so moving on, we have an announcement from HAL Laboratory on Kirby Star Allies. We'll touch on that. There are some new playable characters that are included in that. The Dark Souls Remastered is getting an awesome amiibo.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite Wii U titles, Captain Toad Treasure Tracker, is getting ported to the Nintendo Switch. Also, they announced several more jobs and characters for Octopath Traveler. So, who wants to go first? What do you guys want to unpack on that?
So Captain Toad's Treasure Tracker. Tiff and I are super excited for this one ourselves. We have it on the Wii U, but we haven't really sat down and actually played through it. So we're looking forward to we're just going to buy this one and then do it. So with the new levels and whatever. With that, also, you forgot to mention that it's coming to the 3DS as well.
That is true. I did forget that it's coming. And it's going to be full 3D as well.
Yeah. So that's interesting. I wouldn't mind actually playing that version as well.
Mm-hmm.
And real quick, Octopath Traveler, that game looks so good. I can't wait for the full game.
Did you guys pick up the demo?
I played the demo. I love it.
Okay.
I just told Dax before the episode started that he should download the demo as well. So if you haven't downloaded the demo, download it.
Okay, Dax.
I mean, as for me, on those few titles that you touch base on, I am definitely willing to check out Captain Toad, the Treasure Tracker.
Oh, it's such a fabulous game, man.
Yeah, I mean, this might more so be a game that maybe I would just want to borrow off of you if either you still have your Wii U. I mean, I don't know. Again, I think Nintendo knows what they're doing in terms of their own, self-licensed games, that being Hyrule Warriors or Captain Toad Treasure Tracker, because again, these came in on a system that hardly anybody bought.
Right.
So I still think it is a good approach for them. That's definitely a game that I would like to try out, as long as it's nothing like that awful demo that I played over the week, that being Kirby Star Allies.
Oh, wow. All right. Before we move on to Kirby Star Allies, before we go into that, I got to just touch on Captain Toad. It's such a good game. It's a 3D platformer that you can't jump in. So Captain Toad can't jump, right? He's got that big backpack on, so he can't jump. And he's collecting all these gems in the worlds and all 3D puzzles. You've got to figure out how to land on enemies' heads to kill them. You've got to figure out how to get onto different platforms from different areas. It's a really clever and well-built game. They did a fabulous job. This is probably one of the most exciting things for me, because I don't have my Wii U anymore. And I've wanted to replay that game for quite some time. And I remember, I think I've mentioned on this podcast that I've wanted them to port that game specifically so that I could replay it. But they're adding that extra content with the Super Mario Odyssey based levels. Man, that's going to be great.
Plus, you can do 2-player something or other.
Yeah, I saw that. It's much like Super Mario Galaxy 2, 1 and 2, when the second person had the Wii remote. They could point and shoot the star bits at other.
It'll help you with enemies, getting them out of the way and stuff, though. So it'd be pretty helpful.
Yeah, it's not a super challenging game. I'll be honest. It's not a super. It's more fun. The soundtrack is cute and adorable, and it's just a fun no jumping platformer. But see, and that's where we transition into Kirby Star Allies, because I said the same thing about Kirby, that it's just a cute, fun platformer, and it's got good music. It's just fun to play. And that's where Dax and I are going to start to disagree.
Hey, side note before we go into this, if you don't care. Okay. The game comes out Friday, and we're all going to be around some point. Why don't we kind of review this game?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I'm going to be busy, guys, with the wedding.
True.
It's going to be too difficult for me to probably play a game.
I'll review it with you, Bundy.
Okay.
Are you picking it up, Bundy?
And with that,
I guess I will now.
I'll bring a wheelbarrow manure because I'm going to crap all over.
We
will.
Just go into your rant, bud.
What? My rant with how I don't believe this is going to be a strong game for Nintendo.
Well, the thing about Kirby is that it's not meant to be a challenging title. It's more meant for the copy abilities, right? That's what people love about Kirby. The game is easy enough that, children can play through it. We're talking about a Nintendo game.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's easy enough through the story mode that you could probably just meander through it, right?
Yeah.
But there are puzzles in the levels that require you to think, right? There are going to be like thousands of puzzle pieces that you need to find in this game. And that's where the more experienced platformer player is gonna resonate with this game. You're gonna go through the levels and find all the collectibles. That's where it's gonna get more difficult.
So I experienced the demo, downloaded it, played it. You had an easy or moderate difficulty level, and then you had a quote unquote hard level, which in all honesty, there was no difference in between them. I imagine I could probably go back on this game and there was probably maybe a few secrets that I missed to each level. I do find that the copy ability, what Kirby is known for, is very unique. And I understand that they claim that there are, I think that's a little bit exaggerated, and I don't think they have actually claimed that. Nintendo hasn't. But there's a huge number, but limited abilities or possibilities in terms of copying and adding elements, different combinations to one another and Kirby's abilities. I think that's cool. I think that's great. It's pretty much a pseudo Four Swords, Zelda, you could say in some way, but just with its Kirby pitch, the copying. I really think, and I could be totally wrong, and I'm a guy where someone or something can prove me wrong, good. I don't mind necessarily being proven wrong if Nintendo, in fact, can prove us right and say that this is actually going to be a strong title. I don't think the demo did it justice then. If this game is going to change my mind, I guess, you know what? I will hang out with Bundy and maybe I'll play a little bit of 2-player with him when we split some Joy-Cons. And I don't know, maybe we'll go have coffee too while we're at it. But I'll say this much. The demo to me just did not appeal to me. It was too simple. And I mean, even the boss battles, there was not once where I felt like I was challenged in any way, in any form. In the demo, you faced, at least in the hard level, you faced King Dedede, and I don't know.
The thing about Dedede is that he's never been a difficult enemy. He's always a red herring. King Dedede is always a red herring in the games, except for maybe the original, where he was the final boss. But you look back at Kirby and the Crystal Shards, he was not your main focus, right? He was not an enemy. There was a bigger evil or entity there. And the one for the 3DS, Dedede was not your main enemy there either. He was one of your allies. He was helping you. I mean, it's not one of those types of games. He's not one of those types of enemies that is a big, super challenging boss to defeat. I think you face him in like the third level on Crystal Shards for the 64.
Yeah.
So I mean, he's not one of the big baddies from the world.
I just want to say that I had a lot of fun with the demo, actually. It was the first time I ever actually played anything other than Kirby on Super Smash Brothers. So, I had a lot of fun with the abilities.
Mm-hmm.
Just changing them up, and really like the fire one. But yeah, I had a lot of fun with it, being my first time playing anything with Kirby.
Age, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe, according to what Shill told me, this is actually the game that finally, made you come to the conclusion, I need to get a Nintendo Switch. Am I wrong?
Yeah. What?
I don't think. No, we decided.
I thought maybe.
What had happened?
I thought maybe there would be an Animal Crossing on this Nintendo Direct, but
it's going to happen.
I mean, it's going to happen. It's only a matter of time. We'll get to Animal Crossing, I'm sure. That game is way too popular for this generation of gamers to be denied, right? The last one came out 5 years ago. Mm-hmm. I mean, Animal Crossing New Leaf came out 5 years ago. And that's what we're looking at. Now, there is Pocket Camp, which is starting to look more and more like a full Animal Crossing game, but it's trickling out, right? It's just little bits of content at a time, which means that the game was not fully developed and released to come out like that. Mm-hmm. So they're slowly working on more content based on their microtransactions and stuff. But yeah, it's disappointing that an Animal Crossing is not on the console yet. So moving on, we spent a lot of time on Kirby. I mean, it does come out this week. It does come out this week.
Yeah.
It is something that I want to pick up.
Warranted.
So, a couple other games that they announced for the Nintendo Switch. They gave Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition a release date, which is...
it's May 18th.
Thank you. Yeah, so they gave it the definitive release date. It's got tons of content. That game's been out for a little while. South Park is coming to the Switch, which is a crazy situation. The fractured butthole, right? And you got to put that space in there. The fractured butt hole.
I was going to say you didn't do it when you said it.
I know, but that's because that's what.
That's the joke.
That's the joke. So the South Park game is coming to the Switch, and that's going to be great.
I wish it came with the first one.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
Because I haven't played the first one yet, which it always comes up on sale for backwards compatibility on Xbox for like $8, and I just for some reason I'm like, nah, $8 I can go buy a couple cheeseburgers and make myself fat, but. Yeah, so I need to play those. I've heard they're amazing games. So for the first time for me to experience it, if it can be on the Nintendo Switch, then great. Yeah,
for sure. I would very much like to play them as well. I've heard rave reviews about them and how fun they are. So Little Nightmares is finally getting a release date. It's coming out May 18th this year. You can pick that up for the Nintendo Switch. And then they also announced something that I am incredibly excited for. Undertale is coming to the Nintendo Switch. And if you guys... Go ahead.
I was going to say, explain to me what Undertale actually is, because I do not know.
Okay.
Neither do I.
All right. So Undertale is an adventure RPG, very similar to Earthbound. The gameplay is almost identical. You start to gather up teammates. There are branching storylines that you can go on. It is truly a great video game with tons of hilarious characters. Every single member of this game has a personality that is so unique to that character. I've never played anything like it. And I never did actually finish the game. I had it for the PC because it is, it was a relatively cheap game. I think it was like $10-15 when it came out. It is an indie game. The port will probably run around $20-30, I imagine. But it was super exciting and well worth the money to play because of that the character that every single AI had in that game. It was truly great. So I'm really excited to see it come to the Switch so that I can pick it up when it comes out eventually.
Yeah, eventually. Yep.
Eventually. And that's just the type of thing that happens the whole way through that game. There are tons of those little tiny humorous moments all the way through Undertale.
I almost don't want to wait. It's only $9.99 on Steam.
Yeah. Yeah, it's well worth it. So the last couple things that we have to talk about. First, ARMS is doing an invitational. That's super cool, but I don't think anybody's playing that game. It might have a competitive following. I'm not 100% sure. This is for someone. I haven't figured out who, but it's going to be, people are going to be able to play the game again for free over a weekend period of time. People can jump in and see if they like the title. I think it's cool for people who like motion controls. It's basically Wii boxing, but with so much content added to it. You got Mario Tennis Aces. They gave us quite a bit more content on that. And we have the Inkopolis News Bulletin. We've got 2 big updates coming to Splatoon, which, you know, going back to our Animal Crossing subject, the reason there isn't an Animal Crossing is because Splatoon continues to get content.
Yes.
The developers of Splatoon.
I believe they said at one point that they're only going to basically make content for a year.
They said a free. No. They said content for free for a year.
Oh.
Yeah. Content for free for a year.
Well, never mind.
Yep. So, what do you guys think of Aces?
So Dax and I were talking a little bit before he asked me about it. And I just said I wanted to keep it raw. And, I didn't care going into this direct. And I'm sitting there, and I'm telling you what, they completely sold me on this product. Just the different ways to play and the different moves and whatever else. They sold me on it. Like, I would sit down and play tennis. I played tennis a lot on Grand Theft Auto, so
I see this as a game where, you know, you go out to a picnic table, take each of your consoles, your Switch screens, and take your Joy-Cons, your respective Joy-Cons off the dock and just start going swinging. This is a game that I think they made it more technical than I first thought it was going to be. We're talking different moves, different, you know, you got your backhand, your slice swing, but on top of that, they also implemented the fact that with your Joy-Con, you can actually, as the ball is coming towards you before you swing, you can actually, based on your energy meter, depending on where it's at, you can actually, from your screen, decide where you actually want the ball to go. Now, can you do that all the time? No, I think it consumes energy. And of course, the energy is a meter that builds up over time every time you strike the ball. I think one of the cool things that they expressed was that this game has a technicality to it where some of the moves, some of the swings that you make sometimes is going to actually have big risk, but possible big reward. I think this is going to be a real fun game. I see it as a game that I could probably, you know, pick up. And I think it's going to be a game, too, that is going to capitalize on the HD Rumble as well. It's going to really show off how concrete and I want to say on par with the actual motion that you do with your hand when you have one of the Joy-Cons in your hand. It seems like it has a lot of different game modes. So, I mean, based on the fact that this is a game, just on the trailer and what they've informed us of between now and when they first showed this off, I believe at E3, then I wasn't impressed. Now I am.
So I'm still indifferent, guys. I played Mario Tennis on the I want to say the Nintendo 64. There was one there. I played that for a little while. It was not something that piqued my interest then, nor is it really now. I don't know. The motion control thing looks fun. I think that they're doing something intelligent by adding those features in, because you can start to grab at the Wii market again, with the folks that are more casual gamers. And it doesn't take away from the fact that the game is, the full game. So I don't know. I just don't. I'm not excited for this, and I have nothing really else to say about it.
Yeah, you're not a big sports fan, so I get it.
So fair enough.
I mean, it does look fun for kids and stuff.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I think you're absolutely right, Age. But I think one cool thing about this is that I think this game is for the whole family. I think this is going to be one of the big family titles that they put out there.
For sure.
Okay, cool. So let's chat about Splatoon. Version 3.0 is dropping. They announced that there were going to be over 100 new pieces of gear. I'm sure that there will be balance issues that are addressed. Maybe we'll even get some matchmaking fixing. You know what I want most out of that update? To be able to start a room with my friends and finish it with people I don't know. Yeah, that's what I want most out of the Splatoon update. I want to be able to play a game on the same team as my friends and continue to just play on the same team as them without having a full team before.
Yeah, I mean, I think the reason it doesn't do that is so, like, I don't know. So you can't partner up and just whip everybody. I don't know.
But you can be 100% consistent with a team of 4.
I don't know then.
Yeah. So it just is a nuisance to me that I can't text you and say, hey, let's play some games of Splatoon together and be on the same team and do well, right? Like, Nintendo wants to push for a competitive market with Splatoon. Well, how do you start a competitive market without at least allowing just 2 people to start to get competitive? Like 2 friends, and then you find a third, and then you find a fourth. It doesn't just happen when 4 people get together and say, let's be competitive at Splatoon. That's not how it happens. It's got to be organically grown. So it's.
Yeah, I mean, I'll second what you're saying then. But I wasn't fully aware.
The update looks great. It looks promising. The big thing, I think, is that they're moving into the paid DLC, and it looks like they're giving a ton of fan service to what everyone has wanted since the first, and that's to be able to play as Octolinks.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, true.
And I think they said that there were over 80 levels that are going to be in that.
Oh, gosh. Then that right there might just be worth the $20 then.
Oh, yeah.
They're asking for MSRP.
Yeah, it's a full single-player experience. With gear that will be added to the multiplayer experience, I'm sure. But it looks like that's the direction they're going in. They're touting 80. I saw 80, and that's awesome. I'm really excited. So Nintendo closes the Direct with this Splatoon news, and I genuinely believed them. I thought it was over, but then they gave us their good old Nintendo swerve and announced one more thing.
Could I give a story to this leading up
please.
to it? So
I have my own.
Everybody, don't do this if you're driving. But if you're stationary, you're seated right now, close your eyes, take 2 or 3 deep breaths right now. I want you to envision that you are in New York City at a GameStop, and you are watching this Direct with other fans around you. And Nintendo announces they have one more thing for you. The screen comes on, and you see 2 Inklings battling it out trying to squirt ink on top of each other, transforming it into a squid, back into a squid humanoid. And as they're battling, you hear babbling to the left and right of you, babbling of disappointment that what's going on? Is this Splatoon? You hear some people saying, is this Splatoon 3? Oh, what the hell? This isn't Smash. This isn't, what's going on? And you just hear people just, getting overhyped, but yet slowly but surely becoming disappointed. As the camera transitions onto one of called Inklings, it gets a close up and the Inkling turns around as darkness just overshadows them. And as they turn around, this big, bright, orange reddish light emits and reflects into their eye. And then as they close up on that eye, you see a symbol, a Smash Brothers symbol, in fact, and the crowd starts falling to the floor, jumping around like a bunch of idiots. And that, everybody, is what happened at the New York City GameStop.
Listen, I got my own story. I'm sitting on the couch watching this with Adriana, and she will testify to this truth. I'm sitting there and I'm watching this, and I'm like, okay, they must be porting Splatoon 1 to the Nintendo Switch, or 3DS could have been, and that's what I saw, because the trailer is almost exactly the Splatoon 1 reveal trailer, right? It's a little different, but it's almost exactly what it is. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, cool, and I'm watching, and Smash Brothers has not even entered my mind. And when the lights go out and the Inkling turns her head and that logo reflects in her eye, I jump off the couch and scream, "It's Smash!"
It's a true story, guys.
Oh man, guys, it is. It's finally here, everybody, and I'm really happy to say that it is coming to us sooner than later. Because I think I could be wrong, but yeah, it's 2018. But most of the Super Smash Brothers games are games that come out in the later years, I believe, of the life of one of the Nintendo consoles, except for maybe Wii U, because obviously the life, of that console
Wii U Smash
died
Brothers was
relatively
late.
quick.
Wii U Smash Brothers was late for the franchise to come to the console. It came after Mario Kart, which Mario Kart was late for the console.
Yeah.
Wii U did not succeed in its life cycle because it did not have the titles that Nintendo has released within the first year or two, right? Because we're in year 2 now, of the console's life cycle. Wii U was out for 3 or 4 years before a Smash Brothers got to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I think the first thing that needs to be asked, and it's on everybody's mind, is this just going to be another port, or is this going to be a brand spanking new game?
That's the next theme of the Splatfest, by the way. The next Splatfest that takes place next month is you're going to choose the side of port, or you're going to choose the side of brand new game.
Really?
No.
Wow.
I saw a funny Photoshop on Reddit.
That'd be great.
I mean, hey, the Nintendo right now, and I mean, it's something right now that is actually, I don't want to say pissing off, even though I just said it, but it's making some consumers, some fans frustrated. The fact that they are just taking a lot of games and just porting them. However,
those consumers that are frustrated about that are the consumers that bought into Wii U. Those are the people that are mad. And I understand their frustration, and I get it. But if you truly love something and care about a game, you want people to experience that game.
Yeah.
Right? If you really liked a game and a game system, you want people to experience that. So why would you be upset about some of the best games of last console's generation being ported over to the Switch. Unless you own a Wii U to say, I own a Wii U, I stuck by Nintendo in their hard times, I'm a better fan than you.
Yeah, exactly. Age, do you think this is a port, or do you think this is going to be a brand spanking new game?
I don't know.
Mike Bundy.
Well, I mean, like, I don't play a whole lot of video games, but there was the one for the GameCube, which was what, Melee?
Mm-hmm.
The best one, yes.
There was the one for the first Wii, which was Brawl.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
There was the one for the Wii U.
Mm-hmm.
What was the difference with that one?
I mean,
Tons of
Smash
characters.
4. Yeah.
It's the same one that we have on 3DS. The same Smash Brothers
Smash
that's for the
4.
3DS.
But it's different than Melee and Brawl.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
I mean, possibility they'll have a brand new one for a new console.
I'm in the camp that it's a new one.
Me
The
too.
logo is different. I mean, the Smash Brothers logo in the text that they showed after they showed the flaming logo, when they put the O in Brothers, they put the Smash logo there. In the Wii U and 3DS ports, the versions of those games, that O has a flame behind it, which is not present in the current logo.
Wow, that's really good supporting evidence for it being a new one.
It's a whole new logo. It looks like they widened the actual logo, the Smash Brothers logo, the space in between the two on the left and the two on the right. It looks like they widened that a little bit. It could be something super minor that I'm overlooking or looking for differences. But I mean, Link in the trailer is the Breath of the Wild Link.
Yeah.
Which,
That's a good point, too.
Through aesthetic changes and a different costume. But at the same time, I owned when I had my Wii U, I owned Smash Brothers 4 for it, and I own it for the 3DS. And I wouldn't mind owning that same title for the Nintendo Switch.
Hey, I just played it last week, and it's as fun as Smash is going to get, you know?
Yeah, exactly. The thing about it is if it's a deluxe version, that comes with all of the DLC for the single price, which was over $40 worth of DLC.
Yep.
I mean, we're talking $40 to $60 worth of DLC, and we're talking single price point at $60 plus additional content with the Inklings. I mean, it could be a Smash Brothers 4.5, like Splatoon. Splatoon 2 is not a true sequel. It's Splatoon 1.5. It's an updated version of the original game.
Yep.
And you can't even tell the difference.
Yeah.
Like, you can't tell that it's the original game, is what I meant to say.
Didn't the 3DS version have like a few different stages than the Wii U?
It did. It had some... it had Smash Run, a whole different game mode.
So maybe, aside from, having all the DLC and whatnot, maybe some of the 3DS stuff is brought over as well.
Yeah,
I would love that. I would love that.
I'm just really excited because I ended up buying my Switch and Animal Crossing was not announced. But Smash is second best to me. I've been playing it since before I started playing other video games, so
and just think of the awesomeness. This is what Tiff and I were talking about before or after the announcement. I used to play with the gamepad quite a bit on the Wii U. Just think how awesome it is that basically when we all have this game, we all individually have our own gamepad. We don't need the TV.
I know.
We can just link up and boom, we're playing Smash.
You guys know the numbers for Smash 4 were better on the 3DS than they were on the Wii U.
Oh, probably, yeah.
Well, and that's because more people had 3DSs and whatever. But people who owned a Wii U, didn't buy it on Wii U and bought it on 3DS because it was portable.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
I mean, so I think I think it's a clean sweep right across the board. I think we all think it is going to be a new game. And even if it was ported, we would expect more characters, new characters.
I would expect, if it is a port, I would expect it to be a 4.5 port.
Yeah. I really hope that they do something like they did with Super Smash Bros. Brawl, where they had a dedicated website. It was called the supersmashdojo.com.
Yeah, they will.
And each week they would maybe announce one or two things with the game. It could be a new item, it could be a new character, it could be a new arena, and it, of course, would have a description of those things that they would reveal. I really hope they do something with that, because over time it can just build. It's just a device to build more excitement towards.
Yeah, they will.
Game.
You know what they'll do is the Smash Brothers Dojo thing existed before the popularity of Twitter.
Yeah, exactly.
They'll release maybe once a week. They'll call it Smash Saturday or something weird to that extent. They'll come up with some clever way to release one thing about the game a week or something if they go that direction.
Yeah.
Either way, E3 is going to be hot for Nintendo. They're going to announce more titles, and they'll announce rosters.
I think they'll show gameplay.
Yeah, I do too.
Yep. But with that said, going with the whole new characters and everything, it would be, I guess you could say, I think it would be wrong of us if we didn't take the time to use our weekly top 5 towards Super Smash Brothers. And with that said, we are going to do the top 5 characters we would like to see in the upcoming Super Smash Brothers for the Nintendo Switch. Mike Bundy, why don't you start us off?
I suppose I can do that. So my number 5 is going to be a game that I haven't really actually played the actual full game, but I think this could be a very big possibility, and that would be a character or two from the ARMS franchise. Since ARMS is already a fighting game in itself, I think it only would make sense that they put a character or two from that game into Smash Brothers.
I think it'd be really neat. Some kind of ricochet attack, some spin or something,
Yeah,
reminiscent of like Meta Knight's running spin.
That's a solid number 5.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'll go with my number 5. King K. Rool, the arch nemesis of Donkey Kong. He would be a slow character since he's a bigger character, but he would be one I think would capitalize on different death traps and trinkets that he's known for making. So that's who I have as my number 5. I'd like to see him in Smash.
Okay, cool.
That's an awesome one as well.
I forgot about King K. Rool. There was a lot of when the Smash DLC for the Wii U and the 3DS was coming out. There were a lot of people that were adamant that he needed to be in the franchise. So that would be a good addition.
And I think what makes it a possibility is the fact that, remember, Tropical Freeze is coming out.
That's true.
This year, so I think it would actually help. I think it makes some sense.
It's very valid. So for my number 5, I threw something that I expect more than I want. Well, I shouldn't say that. I would want it. I think that because of the collaboration with Nintendo and Activision, Crash Bandicoot may get included into Smash Brothers.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And moveset, he'd have the spin, obviously. He's got all those cool abilities that he learned in Crash Bandicoot Warp. I mean, he had a bazooka in that game. And he shot Wampa Fruit out of that bazooka. So I think that he has tons of versatility that's available, belly flop, all kinds of cool stuff. I think that he's likely to be in the game, and I would love to see him in there. One, because you could just do Mario versus Crash versus Sonic.
Wow.
Yeah, that would be one crazy awesome Smash fight.
Now, after that would happen, all we would need is Sonic and Crash to come to Mario Kart.
Yep.
It would make sense.
Yeah. So, Crash Bandicoot's one of my guys. Mike Bundy, what's your number 4?
I gotta say, our number 5s are all pretty awesome. Number 4 for me is going to be a character that had, or characters that have been in 2 previous games, and that is the Ice Climbers.
Oh!
You want them back?
Yeah, I mean, they're kind of a forgotten IP, I guess. They don't have any games that come out anymore that I know of, but I mean, I think they had a pretty good following in the Smash world. So,
they did. They did.
I never really used them myself, but I just think it makes sense, and I think it would be time for them to come back.
Well, the only reason that they were excluded from the Wii U and 3DS versions is because the hardware on the 3DS could not handle the characters, and they did not want. They did not want to separate the 2 versions. So they were going to come back, and they were included in development, but this hardware for the 3DS just could not handle the Ice Climbers.
Yeah, and if I may say something too with the Ice Climbers real quick. During that trailer, when you see the shadow, because all these characters, if you ever watch, it depicts and it shows all these characters like standing in front of the new Smash symbol, the flaming symbol, and people are trying to depict and try to pick out like who are all the characters who are standing in front of the symbol. And based on an image, I think it's right next to Donkey Kong. You can depict Donkey Kong real well, but there's two sets of eyes right off to his left, and people think that is the actual Ice Climbers.
Yeah, I saw Game Explain did a really awesome video where they tried to guess who all those characters were in the shadows. It was really good. It's worth a watch.
Yeah. My number 4 is Rivali from Breath of the Wild. It only makes sense that since we couldn't play as any of these characters in any of the Breath of the Wild DLC, this game will give us that opportunity. And I can see being I think his best asset in the game, if he is in the game, is he's going to be the best at aerial combat. Because again, it's his nature. It's what we've learned in Breath of the Wild, that him and his kind are best at aerial combat. So I can really see him doing a lot of like combat tricks as well with Rivali's Gale. Mm-hmm. So he's a character I'd like to see.
Okay, cool. Well, for my number 4, I would like to see the Pokemon trainer come back. And I have to say that reason number 1 I would like to see Pokemon trainer is for Squirtle. Squirtle was one of my absolute favorite parts of playing as the Pokemon trainer. He was just all around the best to play as, the most fun to play as, I should say, because Charizard ended up being the best. But I would love to see the Pokemon trainer come back, and adding to your conversation on Rivali from Breath of the Wild. You know, if they don't go that route, I would like to see Pokemon Trainer bring in Decidueye from Sun and Moon and do almost exactly the same thing. Aerial combat, shooting arrows, cool stuff like that with Decidueye from Sun and Moon. So, and then you have Incineroar, which is basically a wrestler Pokemon.
Awesome.
Yeah, there are tons of possibilities, I think, for this. For new Pokemon that have been included. So I would like to see the Pokemon trainer come back.
Well, with that said, I'm just going to go right into my number 3 and piggyback off of you. It is the Pokemon trainer.
Yeah.
So I don't personally get this. Why was it Squirtle Evolution 1, Ivysaur Evolution 2, and Charizard Evolution 3?
Probably just for consistency to move across all the characters. You know, like you had different levels, different play styles. Like Squirtle's a faster character, so he's obviously going to be a smaller one. And then Ivysaur was your middle of the road zoning character, and then Charizard was your hard hitter. And I think that was just to roll all of those into one, and it just made sense. It just made sense to make it.
Yeah, I don't know. It was always a question I had.
It included all the starters, and it didn't leave anybody out.
That's my number 3.
My number 3 is going back on a huge and successful fan-endorsed, beloved character and game. It's going to be Shovel Knight. I really do strongly believe it's guaranteed that Shovel Knight will be in this upcoming game. I mean, there's already an amiibo out for him, but we could also see maybe supporting characters such as Spectre Knight, which had his own DLC. And who was the third one?
Plague Knight had one.
Plague Knight, yeah.
I think exactly. Plague Knight was first. Spectre Knight was second. I believe King Knight has one now. And they wanted to go through all of the characters, but I don't know that they're going to. Or at least they wanted to do them all for free and avoid paid DLC for them all. But I think they've backed away from that.
Yeah.
Stance. So, but piggybacking off of you, Shovel Knight is actually my number 3 as well. You know what I want to see from Smash Brothers with Shovel Knight?
What?
I want them to keep him in his 2D form.
Yeah, okay.
I don't really like the Shovel Knight amiibo, the 3D model that they made of it. And he's also in Yooka-Laylee.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
He did make an appearance in Yooka-Laylee, and he had a 3D model there. I really just like him as his 2D 8-bit form. I think that that's the route they should go with him. And I would love to see him included. He could have cool... all of his abilities from the Shovel Knight franchise. So, Mike Bundy, what's your number 2?
My number 2 might be the biggest surprise of where my brain went with this. It's going to be Doom Guy, a.k.a. Doom Slayer from Doom.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So that's where my brain went, with Doom being on the Nintendo Switch. I just think it would be a very weird and awesome...
Smash attack. He whips out a chair. He brutally mutilates the guy.
He just straight up mutilates, rips out Mario's heart and feeds it to him.
Dude, just blood, guts, and gore. Just, wow.
Maybe I didn't completely think that one through, but it's on my list.
Oh, wow. I want to make the Inklings my number 2. And
they're going to be in it.
They're going to be in it. Yeah, they're definitely going to be in it. But so I'm not going to make that my number 2. My number 2 is going to be Toad. Toad is someone who never became a playable character in any of the Smash series.
You are correct. I did not even notice that.
Yeah, and the fact that he can't... I wouldn't make him a character where he can't jump in the game. Even though he can't really...
he jumps in other games. It's just...
Yeah, he jumps in others. It's Captain Toad can't jump because he's got a big backpack. But I'm going to piggyback off of you, Dax, because I also said Captain Toad needed to be in Smash Brothers. But I'm going to adjust my stance and say that all hail King Toad, because King Toad, the king of the Mushroom Kingdom, needs to be in this game. And it is a downright insult to that character that he is not included in the franchise except in Peach's pocket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he should be included. I think they should go with Captain Toad. They should make him able to jump or something because he has the backpack. You know what I mean? He could be reminiscent of like Villager. He could pocket stuff into his backpack and pull it out whenever he needs to. He could have different items, different attacks, gems and stuff.
It could be a little unique about him. Maybe as he's battling and maybe as Toad does so much damage, treasure chest pops up and he's like the only one who can,
they can open it, yeah.
Open it, and it would be accessories that add on to him. So, like, maybe he gets a pickaxe, and that changes his attacks right then and there. And then maybe he then gets the backpack, which doesn't allow him to jump, but it makes him more powerful and enables him to be harder to knock off. And he has different trinkets and different tools that he can use to battle against everybody. And maybe he can abandon it too as an option. I think it would be different for a character to be like that. Kind of how Lucario, the more you beat him up, the stronger he becomes on attack. Bundy, you're number one.
Well, my number one, if anybody remembers playing Brawl with me, will know that my favorite character was Snake.
Oh, nice.
And, I'm a big Metal Gear Solid fan, so that basically got me to play. Well, Brawl was my first game that, first Smash Brothers. That's not true. Let me restate that. I got back into Smash Brothers because of Snake. It was my ex-girlfriend that got me into it. And so I just used Snake all the time just because I like Snake. He wasn't particularly that good, but
I loved that he could hide in the box.
Yeah, it was hilarious. I loved his mortar attack.
Mm-hmm.
I used that quite often. I believe it was down in B. I just would like to see him back in the Smash world.
Absolutely.
And a side note from that, it'd be really funny if he took if he had a mask on and he took it off and it was actually Raiden. That'd be pretty funny.
Different costumes. You could go back and forth between the costumes.
Actually, wasn't that a costume on Brawl now that I think about it?
I don't know.
I think it might have been.
I don't know.
I need to find that game.
It's the worst one.
It's my least favorite for sure.
Because you would run around and potentially fall.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that is pretty
true. Just fall at random. It was random falls, and that was annoying.
It absolutely
Keeps me from playing that game ever.
It was my first game.
What was that age?
Brawl was my first experience with Smash.
I mean, there's definitely things I liked about it. I actually liked the story mode.
No, I faithfully played that thing. I didn't put it down until I was done with story mode, and then I played it. But anyway, sorry guys.
But in all honesty, I hope it's actually something in this upcoming game. They actually put that into it. My number one, and I think this is a given. If it doesn't happen, I don't know what I'll do. I'll still buy the game. It is going to be one of the champions, and he's my favorite champion, and that is Daruk, the Goron champion. Again, he'd be another slow character with his boulder ball mechanic. I can see him then being one that can actually transition into a fast character. Mm-hmm. And maybe with that said, that mechanic, maybe when he generates a lot of momentum, which actually enables him to be fast. And of course, if they have smash attacks in this one, or super smash attacks, with the ball, he would probably just perspective beast to come in and basically wipe the board in an inferno. So Daruk is my number one.
Well, guys, I went in a direction that for my number one character, I don't foresee it actually happening. But I want it so desperately. There was this series of games on the Nintendo 64 that were deeply embedded in my childhood, and Nintendo had such a great relationship with Rare that they were practically a part of Nintendo.
Yes.
And now Nintendo has started to mend that relationship through Microsoft, and I would like to see Banjo-Kazooie included into Smash Brothers.
Wow.
I would love to see all of the different attacks that they can do throughout the whole franchise included into the Smash world. You could do the drill peck while you're in the air, you could fly with Kazooie similar to Kirby and slam down and do a drill peck into the ground. Maybe it gets the players who are closer to you. It buries them much like a pitfall seed would, or villagers shovel attack. There are so many possibilities with Banjo-Kazooie. You could do something with invincibility with them for a smash attack with the golden feathers that they had in the games. I mean, these games define my childhood, and I cling to the hope that they will be included in Super Smash Brothers at some point. And I think there's a little hope, there's a glimmer, because the Banjo-Kazooie costumes were included in Minecraft, and those are available on Nintendo Switch. So I think that there's a possibility, and maybe not a guarantee. I would like to see Rare Replay come to the Switch. If that happens, then I definitely see Banjo-Kazooie coming in Smash.
Absolutely.
That'd be a cool port.
Yeah. And I mean, you saw the fact that, the Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy is coming. I mean, that was one of your characters that you would like to see. And I think that is a given. And again, we've seen in the past, we've seen Cloud be a part of this game.
Right.
Yeah.
Snake. Cloud and Snake. Are totally disassociated with Nintendo entirely and were included in the franchise.
Well, Metal Gear Solid, the Twin Snakes was on GameCube, so I mean, it was from that relationship, I guess, that he was in Brawl.
Yeah, that's true. So, guys, it's an awesome list, and I'm really excited for Smash Brothers this year.
Yeah. There'll be many, many hours, many seconds, you could say.
We're still on that joke, huh?
Playing Smash Brothers whenever this may come out.
Alrighty, well, I mean, with that said, everybody, this is quite the hefty, and as I say that, I'm looking at a hefty garbage bag. But with that said,
these outros get worse and worse.
I know, but I love them.
They get worse and worse every single time.
It was most certainly a newsworthy and action-packed episode here on Geek Tavern Radio. And as always, if you have any recommendation on a top 5 that you would like us to discuss and go over, or if you'd like to see the reprisal of What Are You Buying, What Are You Selling, please go over to geektavernproductions@gmail.com. Again, that is geektavernproductions@gmail.com. Go over there, send us an email. And matter of fact, it's something that we can, start reading on our mailbag. Shill, where can they find you?
I am available for conversation on Twitter @Shill_DS.
Mike Bundy.
Well, they can find me on Twitter @MikeBundy316, on Instagram @MikeBundy316, and on YouTube, Mike Space Bundy. And I'll give it the plug this week. You can find all of us on Discord, in our Discord.
I figured I would leave that one for Dax at the end.
Either way, I mean, thank you. And on top of that, you can also find us on Twitter @Geek Tavern. Again, @Geek Tavern. And as for me, you can find me on Twitter. That's @Dax Hastings. Once again, @Dax Hastings. Guys, I can't imagine what Nintendo is going to do between now and E3, but I am super amped and excited.
E3 is going to be awesome.
I can imagine what they're going to do.
They're going to make Smash.
Roll in all of their stock money.
And that's probably something maybe we should get into on another episode. Of Geek Tavern Radio. Again, Age.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us today on this podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, anytime. And I am looking forward to seeing you both getting married in holy, is that matrimony? Is that how you say it?
Matrimony. Mashed potatoes.
And holy mashed potatoes.
Anyhow, that is Mike Bundy. That is Shill. That is his soon-to-be wife, Age. And I am Dax. Sometimes we make no sense whatsoever. But hey, that's who we are. deal with it. So everybody out there, please go press start and keep on gaming.